Welcome to another edition of Fansview Fridays. I am the Wisteria Witch, and we're going to step back in time to 1999 in Lakewood, Colorado, to Nan Desu. If this is your first time tuning into Fansview Fridays, this is a weekly stream on Fridays where we honor the memory of Kevin Lillard. Kevin Lillard was a pioneer in cosplay and convention press and coverage. Unfortunately, he had passed a few years ago, and he left us with a website, an archive of convention and Western fandom history. Much of his website is saved by archive.org, and this is our way of preserving a lot of fandom history so it's no longer lost to the archives because we never know what will happen to webarchive.org. So, without further ado, let's start off with Nan Desu. All right, looks like he breaks down day by day. So let's see here, day one. All right. Hours before the convention started, familiar faces were hanging out in the lobby. Let's see which of those familiar faces we can recognize here. Because we do have some long-standing regulars that do show up on these fancy reports. Right when the author walked into the lobby of the Sheraton Denver West, who should he spot but actors Juliet Cesario and Scott Simpson? Along with actor Michael Brady, all three were talking about the heavy rain in Wilmington, North Carolina, and a series of radio plays they were producing for public radio there. Who's that guy with Shinpei Ito, the creator of Hyperdolls manga? It's Steve Bennett of Studio Iron Cat on the left, freshman appearance at Anime Iowa. Steve's brother, Kevin Bennett, even showed up in Colorado, probably ready to talk about Iron Cat plans. Not seen for a while since Anime Expo in July was Jan Scott Frazier, still making a living in the anime industry as a freelancer. And Matt Greenfield of ADV Films, who said he had to take a break from a crushing video production schedule. Not far from Greenfield was actor Tiffany Grant, who promised revised costumes based on her ADV Films characters. Richard Noboru Kekuhuna is the AnimeVillage.com representative at this convention, this time with tapes to sell. Anime Village didn't sell tapes at CN Anime because of customs. We met those familiar faces at the opening ceremonies eventually. In the lobby outside Nan Desu's main hall, Dave Allen enjoyed the experience. It was Allen's first anime convention. Allen works for the Encore cable TV networks, one of which carries several ADV film titles. Allen had no idea what to expect from anime fans, but he liked what he saw. One of the most exotic sights was the ice sculpture to celebrate the third Nan Desu. This impressive work of art managed to hold up to a 48-minute delay in starting the convention's opening ceremonies. Becca Norman and Sean Eason were the convention directors who appeared at the start of the ceremony. Diane LeBeau showed up a little later. Norman had a heartfelt lecture on how not to make a fool of yourself at an anime convention. Shinpei Ito, the creator of Hyperdolls manga published by Studio Iron Cat, surprised fans when he made a brief speech in English. "I'm going to have fun this weekend," he said, a sentiment echoed by all involved in the ceremony. Nan Desu was a homecoming for an expatriate animator, Jan Scott Frazier, a native of the Denver area. Of early fandom in Colorado, Frazier recalled, there were 20 people who sat around in a room watch strange things. Now there are 200 people who sit in multiple rooms and watch strange things, she said, referring to the convention. Steve Bennett of Iron Cat, who told how he got his Civil War cap during its reenactment 8 years earlier. Bennett is a big Civil War buff. Promised that Iron Cat plans, of course, to take over the world, working in conjunction with you fans. We'll have to ask that if Steve shows up in the chat. 'Cause he might. Actors Jason Lee and Amanda Winley talked about their roles in the new interactive games on CD-ROM. Listen for their voices on Heavy Gear 2. Longtime convention fans won't be surprised to know that they were asked what they were going to do at the convention. Amanda said, I'm going to do Jason. I hope I read that right. To which Jason quipped, "It's about time. It's been a while." Okay. Asking most of the questions was Rob Miles of the San Francisco Bay Area Anime Society. This page last saw Miles on stage during the Project Acon Masquerade. "Hey Rob, I love your Missy Elliott cosplay here." What does actor Scott Simpson mean with his gesture when Julie Cesario watches? That's a signal of how high the water was in Wilmington, North Carolina, after the hurricane that blew up the East Coast a couple weeks before the convention. Steve's brother Kevin, who handles much of Iron Cat's business in Japan, was next on stage. However, most of the audience was interested in Sachiko Uchida, who now translates Iron Cat manga, when she's not working as a pop music DJ in Japan. As promised, here's the modified chocolate Misu costume from Sorcerer Hunters for actor Tiffany Grant, who voiced that role in the ADV film's dub. Grant's been busy with Bubblegum Crises 2040 series and Martin's successor, Nadeshiko. Then there were the artists from Panther Comics. The guy who's holding his head in his hands is humiliated because he lost his room key, and everyone at the ceremony was told. And we have a new person in the chat. Welcome, welcome. Always cool seeing new faces in the chat. Welcome to Fansview Fridays, a weekly stream on where we look at conventions past. Even more faces were wearing costumes. And again, this evening we are covering Nan Desu. So we're going to take a look at what cosplay looked like in 1999. Okay, we got a couple Sailor Moon cosplays here. Looks like we got Lotus Wars. Lotus Wars is actually streaming on Crunchyroll right now. I need to catch up with that old series. Looks like we got Tiffany Grant in her Sorcerer Hunters cosplay. We got Tuxedo Mask. Again, I always feel that Sailor Moon is very evergreen at conventions. And we got some cosplayers from Fushigi Yugi over here. I love that in the background you can see like all these cell paintings being sold. Because that's like a friend of mine used to go to conventions a lot, and she would always hunt for like anime cells. I mean, that used to be a huge thing of that back then. All right, we have like chainmail guy here. You got some Studio Ghibli cosplayers here, and they are real people. They are not AI. Got a few more people here. Okay. All right, then there was something that's hard to explain. All right, so what was hard to explain here? This page has a reputation of generating straight-laced, never crack a smile, serious stories on panel discussions at anime conventions, except for that time actor Jessica Calvello joked about getting naked during a recording session. That attitude went by the wayside during the metaphorical panel concocted by Becca Norman of Nan Desu. It was a variation of the old "what kind of tree" questions that Barbara Walters made infamous. Okay, I'm not familiar with the "what kind of tree" questions. I have to Google that. Animator Jan Scott Fraser didn't know what to expect as she crept into the panel room. Especially when actor Amanda Winley asked what kind of drink she would be. "I would be a Russian cream soda," she answered. And astonished Fraser asked if she had ever done anything ridiculous for love, and admitted she had bicycled in a driving Japanese rainstorm to get her wife some peanut butter to make cookies and came down with pneumonia. Actor Taliesin Jaffe said he did something almost bad as Fraser's efforts, getting himself soaked in a wool cloak for a woman's sake. And one of the women in the panel audience was impressed with the game designer Mark Baldwin, shouting, "I'll take him," when another question was asked. When Matt Greenfield of ADV Films was asked what he would do if space aliens invaded, he replied, try to negotiate a deal from them to buy Evangelion. Of course, ADV had the rights to Neon Genesis Evangelion TV series, but manga got the rights to the Eva movies. Finally, actor Scott Simpson said he wanted to see the series of action figures for movies that never had action figures. Films like On the Waterfront, The Godfather, real skull cracking action, he promised. Pretty Woman, Amanda Lee suggested a Julia Roberts figure with real knee bending action. And Altered States, Scott wants an action figure of a transforming William Hurt. Okay, let's make sure we got all of day one covered. Pretty short day one. Okay, let's go on to day two. Okay, looks like we got a lot going on day two. Martial artists kicked off the convention's second day. Okay, let me make sure I'm pronouncing this correctly. Bugekuden, martial artist. If you want to understand the anime fighting scenes, you should understand the fighting styles. The Bugekuden Hall of Martial Arts Virtue staged an exhibition at Nan Desu, showing off those styles to fans. The athletes in the white and black outfits demonstrate Konryusei Kenjutsu, the art of the samurai, fighting with a sense of honor. Those in black practice Kurai Kotori Ninjutsu, the art of the ninja, or dirty fighting, one athlete called it. Also, one of the members of the Panther Comics studio showed his prowess in solo competition. All right, let's just take a look at these pictures. I also liked it when anime conventions had martial arts demonstrations. I kind of miss this. I mean, that's just one of the things that's just missing from a lot of these cookie cutter anime conventions that have more of a focus on autographs and signing Funko Pops. Is you lose a lot of that culture, and it's nice to have that culture being celebrated at anime conventions. And also, I remember they would also teach you some of the demonstrations as well. All right, more customers were on hand on Saturday morning. Okay, we have Princess Mononoke. We have Zelos from Slayers. Okay, just scrolling down here. Looks like we have Lena Inverse from Slayers. We have Misal from Kenshin. A couple other more folks here. Scrolling down here. One of these CDs is legal, the other is a bootleg, and you should know the difference. Yeah, the whole controversy with the Sonmei bootleg CDs. These are the goods that draw many anime fans to anime conventions. The collectibles and souvenirs found in the dealer's room delight thousands of fans, but are those goods legal or illegal? Some of the objects in the picture are bootlegs, knockoffs made without permission of the company holding the license of the characters. Bootlegs and counterfeits are getting some serious attention from the authorities. In late September, the Chicago Tribune reported that U.S. Customs seized suspected counterfeit Pokemon cards worth 50 grand that were being shipped through O'Hare International Airport. There's a good chance you bought a bootleg at an anime convention and not known it. And these people appeared at Nan Desu to help you tell the difference between something that is legal or illegal. From left to right, their animator Jan Scott Frazier, Fan Glenn Schmall, Becca Norman of the Nan Desu board, and Rob Miles of the Bay Area Anime Society. In general, the panel noted that there are illegal knockoffs of just about anything on the market, from collectible cards, Pokemon trading cards are a hot bootleg right now, to wall scrolls. The panel said fans should check goods if they have all the necessary copyright information and look closely to see if the quality of the material looks right. Norman, the person responsible for Nan Desu's policy of not letting any bootleg items be sold in the convention dealer's room. This includes the infamous Sonmei CDs, an example of which is shown here. One of the two CDs is shown here. The Sonmei disc is on the bottom and the legal one is on top with the red edge. Sonmei discs are common at many dealers and conventions, but they are not licensed for U.S. sale. Anything that's licensed in Taiwan, we suspect the artists aren't getting their royalties, Schmall said. If someone wants to sell you a $20 Sonmei CD, walk away. He was upset that some of the largest distributors of comics and collectibles are distributing bootleg products. Miles noted that some bootlegs spread one disc music over two discs. Others said that the Sonmei copies are missing some of the inserts included with the legitimate editions. Miles just doesn't talk about bootlegs, he's taken action. When he sees phony material at cons, he's warned the license holders about dealers selling illegal knockoffs. Matt Greenfield of ADV Films wasn't scheduled to be on the panel, but he spoke up from the back of the room when asked about the fansub issue. Greenfield said that one of the key reasons that licensed subtitled tapes cost more than dubs is that fansubs cut into the market for commercial subs. As soon as you make one extra copy, you have eliminated one potential sale, he said. On the other hand, Greenfield said that ADV usually has no objection to display of fansubs of its new acquisitions being shown at conventions if the convention asks first for permission. He noted that the only way that fansubs are legal if a fan makes one subtitled tape and never makes a copy for anyone else. Making additional copies is a copyright violation, he said. Mark Baldwin's mission is to draw you into the world of gaming. Okay, let's learn who this Mark Baldwin person is. To millions, this is the gaming experience. A home console game, usually a fighting game contest or a shoot 'em up. Dozens enjoy these games in the non-discount video game room. Others look for something where strategy and tactics come into play. And they turn to people such as Mark Baldwin for their entertainment. Baldwin evolved from rocket and space flight design to game design and is considered one of the best in the business. Before he created the Metal Fatigue game, he created a warfare simulator for the US Air Force. So Baldwin must know what he's doing. Is game design fun? Sure, Baldwin said. Is it profitable? Not always. It's a sexy industry, but it's a high-risk industry when you're financing these things, he said. Those who compare electronic strategy game design to movie making are correct, Baldwin said, because the games need the sort of scripting and planning that go into motion picture. Unfortunately, they also take movie-sized expenses. One major game costs as much as $2 million to develop, he noted. And the same sort of hit-or-nothing mentality that rules motion pictures has moved into the game industry to the point that only a fraction of the titles on sale make any money. So why are games always late? It's because each new game tries to outdo previous titles and break new ground in programming and gameplay, and that means bugs. Loads of bugs. Because you're doing something to innovate, you can't predict how long it'll take to solve all the problems, said Baldwin. Here are some additional Saturday Hall costumers. Okay, it looks like we got some Sailor Moon going on. Yay, we have Sailor Mars, my favorite. I'm actually working on a Mars right now. We have Mistress 9. I want to say that's Iron Mouse, like the OG Iron Mouse. Oh, we have Akane. We have Darkstalkers, Tuxedo Mask, Random Chainmail Guy. Scrolling through. Okay. Looks like that takes care of that section. Shinpei Ito stopped drawing long enough to talk about his work. For most of the weekend, artist Shinpei Ito could be found in this pose at the Student Iron Cat table. Fans enjoyed the art produced by the great Hyperdolls and Mold Diver creator, and Ito's sketches were in great demand. Ito was one of several Japanese artists who were connected to Iron Cat, who had scheduled to appear at NonDiscon at one point. However, after Kuni Kimura was removed as head of Iron Cat, the other artists, including Ippongi Bang and Mio Dagi, chose not to travel to Colorado. Ito made the trip, however, and proved popular with everyone, including Steve Bennett of Iron Cat, partially obscured by a Hyperdolls cover. Bennett repeated his Anime Iowa promise to improve the quality of the company's releases. He joked about how the original edition of Flag Fighters won a Worst Comic of the Year award, and then noted the deficiencies he would be corrected in the graphic novel reprint. Ito's comics, among them is Tokyo Bomber Schoolgirl, tend to feature two-fisted young women who spend a lot of time beating men. Maybe there's a little bit of me that likes women who are strong, Ito said through translator Sachiko Uchida. But when the main character is a violent man, I feel bad. As long as they're high school girls who are violent, it's okay. They're prettier that way. Ito said Hawaiian glamour girl Lina Tanaka is more of his idea of an ideal woman, not one of his rough and tough manga characters. Westerners marvel at the artwork of creators such as Ito, but there are also stories to be told to make manga entertaining. It takes a lot of practice to come up with a storyline. You should practice by looking at movies and books, said Ito, whose favorite movies come from American director James Cameron. One fan wanted to know how Ito got into the business, and the answer was from the back of a book. Manga publishers sponsor talent searches. Ito entered one of those searches and got a job. These were the participants in Nan Desu's contest for Best Costume. All right, let's take a look at the cosplay contest. All right, I love that kimono. Looks like we got some King of Fighters cosplayers here. I am assuming that this is rare because of the green glasses, blonde hair. We have Fushigi Yugi goodness. Again, apologize for the broken images. Unfortunately, we had to go through Web Archive, but we are preserving as much as we can. Oh, I love this Genma here. Will engage sun for food. Give that panda some bamboo. Oh, that's a cute shampoo over there. You have a bunny person over there. Military people. Could be from anything. Tuxedo mask. Oh, that's a cute Sailor Moon. Okay, we got Lena Inverse. All right. Looks like we got some costumers there. Then some of the participants presented skits on stage in a separately judged contest. Okay, just scrolling through here. Looks like Rob Miles is emceeing the event. Got some Sailor Senshi going on here, including Zoisite and Professor Tomo in the background, looks like. And we got some Slayers. All right, let's just take a look at who won the main prizes that night. Finally, a panel of judges. Let's take a look-see here. The convention had two contests, one for best costume and one for best stage presentation. Also, a panel of judges and the audience voted on separate awards in each category. Best Costume, Judges Award, and Audience Award. Looks like it went to Vampire Hunter D here. Second place Costume, Judges Award, went to Deedlit. We do not know who the third place costume is for Judges Award. Best Authentic Japanese Period Costume. Best Costume, Under 12. Best Stage Presentation, Audience Choice. Best Stage Presentation, Judges Choice. And Shinpei Ito's award went to Genma. It went to the panda. Okay. Manga Entertainment spoke about their plans beyond Evangelion and Perfect Blue. Manga Entertainment made a splash at Anime Expo in July when they announced that they would have the rights to Neon Genesis Evangelion movies. 2 months later at Nan Desu, Keith Burgess of Manga had some important information on the Eva project and other programs on the company plans to release. Burgess said manga had been flooded with email from fans wanting to know how the company will handle the Ava movies, as many as 40 messages in one day. He confirmed that manga has been contacting the voice cast used by ADV Films, including pictured Tiffany Grant, the English language voice of Asuka. And all of the actors are interested in reprising their roles for the manga dub. If manga plans go through, the Ava movies will be released in late spring or early summer of 2000. The Ava movies probably will get a limited art house movie theater release, as well as Perfect Blue, the noted mystery. Perfect Blue will be released in November on VHS, followed by a DVD release, Burgess said. There will be a R-rated and unrated versions of the movie on tape, and both versions will be on the DVD. The disc will have programs to play each version. The disc will also have information on the actors and video voice recording sessions. Some of the gestures they do in the studio are the same they do on screen. The Macross Plus DVD release is ready to go, Burgess said, but the release date has been delayed. When the discs are released in October, there will be 2 episodes per disc, with additional features such as an art gallery and character profiles. Japan Right Rares and Street Fighter OVAs will be released in 2000. Manga also plans more live-action horror and sci-fi movies such as Razorblade Smile, Tetsuo, and Tokyo Fist. Voice actors spoke about their difficult and specialized craft. There aren't many jobs and too many people fight for them. It takes an unyielding, honest appraisal of yourself and more work and practice than you think, but everything goes right, it's a fun job. The fortunate few who have voice acting jobs spoke about their craft on Sunday. Amanda Wynn Lee is known for her anime voices, but she's also an experienced director. She directed the voice tracks of dozens of ADV Films titles, who has finished a game CD-ROM project and now hopes to start another film project with Jan Scott Fraser. It's so much to do. It's just so much fun in the studio, she said. Well, usually there was a time when Lee had to coach an actor through 45 minutes of retakes on "You're kidding, the principal?" for an episode of Devil Hunter Yoko. Taliesin Jaffe is a new face on these anime con panels. He's been making fan dubs for 3 years and now has moved on to professional voice work. Handling roles on Nazca for Pioneer Entertainment, I remember being obnoxious to Carl Masick and he became a friend to me, Jaffe recalled. I suddenly decided that this was something I could do pretty well. Jaffe has kept busy with mainstream roles in shows ranging from Punky Brewster to the unlamented She's a Sheriff. During his fan sub years, Jaffe had an actor die on his, literally. A 75-year-old stage actor who was yelling some lines in a recording booth had a heart attack and collapse, saying, "Don't let me die in the valley," as he was loaded in the ambulance. He came back and finished the part, said Jaffe. Oh boy. Michael Brady is now working on the Elf Princess Ren series after his triumph as Crusher Joe. The fun part of the job is slipping references to obscure sci-fi movies into his lines. The rough part of the job is when you can't get the part right and have to go home with a tape of outtakes and come back the next day to try again. I go, "Man, I suck," and I make the change after that, said Brady. Jason Lee, Amanda Wynn Lee's husband, works as a stand-up comic, but still acts with his voice and in commercials. He recalled a TV spot for a rent-to-own chain that gave him an all-too-close look at the story's clientele. Still, Lee took the paycheck. Juliet Cesario worked in stage, films, and television. Most of us have what I call mech jobs that paid bills, she said. To get the jobs, you'll have to live in the cities where the acting jobs are located. You might expect New York and Los Angeles to be the hotbeds of acting, but what about Wilmington, North Carolina? It turns out that a lot of film productions is moving to Wilmington, which has a movie studio with one of the largest green screen stages in the industry. It's used to create special effects. Scott Simpson was key to Cesario's Belle Dandy in Oh My Goddess. A recurring role can get easier for an actor with each episode as the actor grows into the role, but directors still have to keep the performers on track, he said. Simpson just finished voice work on Dark Side of the Moon CD-ROM and is now working on a series of radio dramas with Cesario and Brady for public radio in Wilmington, North Carolina. He hopes these radio shows may get some national exposure on public radio network. In the meantime, they'll be available through a website. Okay, looks like we have the Ko-Fi link in the chat. If you support what we do, if you support us restoring convention reports of the past, please donate to our Ko-Fi. No donation is too small. We would very much appreciate your support. Here's how anime fan clubs came together in Colorado. Did you ever feel alone as an anime fan, isolated from the mundane world that didn't share your appreciation of that special art form? Many who feel that way start anime fan clubs so they can come together with people who get a kick out of those shows. Some leaders of Colorado clubs come together for a Sunday panel at the convention. It should be no surprise that most of the clubs were formed on college campuses, the source of late 80s and early 90s wave of fandom. On the left in the black shirt is Steve Patrick from the Colorado School of Mines. The club created Colorado School of Mines, okay? That club created what has become known as the smallest con in history, the 1999 Minor Con. Don't invite Drake. With 50 attendees and 2 dealers. It was a minor con, as Patrick said, when everyone moved from one video room to the other, but it won't be the last. MinorCon goes to 2 days in 2000. Next to Patrick with the big red and black hat is Jason Keene of Fort Collins Club. We're the silly guys in the video rooms dancing to the anime. We're just about having fun, Keene said. On the left with the long hair is Juan Juarez of the new Anime Ham Club, which managed to put out a single fanzine so far. They hope to have another issue and stage a fanfic contest. His fandom started with the National Star Blazers Club and grew when a friend showed him an anime at a sci-fi con. I saw the tapes, I was hooked, Juarez said. On the right, the white shirt is Eric Black of the Anime Anonymous, based in the University of Colorado. That club has grown from a bunch of college kids to include members ranging from children to fans in their 50s. Mike Hirano, also from the U of C Club, noted that American and Japanese college students have joined the club. Getting the Japanese students involved took a name change. At first, the club was named the Otaku Animation Association, and the Colorado students didn't know the negative meaning that otaku had in Japan. Some final thoughts before the author headed home from the Rocky Mountains. On Saturday, an acquaintance of the authors looked at the people at NanDesCon and asked, "Where are all the college kids?" It looked they were replaced with high school students or younger. The influence of the major youth shows, Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon, and all-conquering Pokemon has brought a younger crowd to anime conventions in 1999 than in 1998. NanDesCon was a prime example of this change. There are lots of kids attending the Colorado event who are attracted by their favorite TV shows and lots of parents accompanying them. Another acquaintance noted that the youngest anime convention fan used to be 25. That age has been reduced because of the anime TV series that appeal to youngsters. That change might unnerve the older fans, but it's a good sign for the future of anime and conventions. The sci-fi world doesn't seem to have that sort of young involvement at conventions or fandom. Eventually, the new generation of fans is needed to replace the college age and young adult enthusiasts who got modern anime fandom rolling. However, just like the legends of the Old West where women cleaned up the frontier, the presence of children may force anime conventions to clean up their act. You'll probably see more programming for kids in 2000, and cons will have to be discreet about the H stuff. NanDesCon was the second straight small convention attended by this author, but its spirit was far different from the previous event. Anime Iowa 3 weeks earlier was relaxed and laid back. NanDesCon was busy and noisy. The Colorado Con was also slow in a sense. Everything started and ended notably late. There were some jokes about con time during the weekend, but no one minded the late starts. The Colorado event had to overcome some adversity. The shakeup at Studio Ironcat cost convention guests such as Iponki Bang and Mio Dagi. And Sci-Fi Con in the Denver area, StarCon was postponed and rescheduled itself on NanDesCon's dates. All of that might have cost the Anime Con some attendance. Around 1,000 people were at NanDesCon, but didn't stop fans from having fun. After seeing the blatant bootleg merchandise at other conventions, the author liked the no bootleg policy in the dealer's room. The convention was located in Lakewood, Colorado, within sight of the skyscrapers of downtown Denver, a few miles south of the hotel at the little suburb of Lillard and Columbine High School, where two students staged a horrifying massacre on April 20th, in which they killed a teacher, 12 other students, and themselves. On the outside, things look normal in the Denver area. Look closer, and you see an unending number of newspaper stories on the disputes that have arisen among families of those who were killed. Clearly, the massacre will remain a sensitive subject for years to come, considering that Austin, Texas is still having trouble coming to grips with the Charles Whitman sniper shootings from the University of Texas Tower in 1966. Like most anime conventions, NanDescon had a video game room with fighting games. Unlike other conventions, the Colorado event had to be sensitive to the raw memory of real death. The convention's video game organizer posted a statement in the game room. Due to recent tragedies here in Colorado and elsewhere, there has been quite an uproar about the content of popular culture and popular games in particular. There are many who feel that some games and music were to blame for these tragedies, and in the aftermath of something so horrible, this is understandable. I can speak for all staff of the video game room and the convention that these events hit us as hard as the rest of the nation. It should be understood that we do not seek to belittle the recent tragedies of their victims. However, it is also our belief that games and other forms of entertainment are just that and cannot be responsible for the actions of those who may have played them. To this end, we will not censor the content of the video game room, nor will we restrict access to it. We foster an atmosphere of fun and mutual enjoyment, and a spirit of competition. We encourage everyone to play our games responsibly, fairly, and in the end, remember that it was just a game. On the same day that the convention opened, both the Denver newspapers, the broadsheet Denver Post and the tabloid Denver Rocky Mountain News, ran two-page ads for Gart Sports Superstores. A gun sale was featured at the top of each page, with the Remington 870 Express Youth shotgun selling for $239.99, a $30 discount. Wow, what a way to end a convention report, because I know Kevin likes to tie in like a lot of real world happenings with his final thoughts, and this kind of also gives you a good idea of like what the climate was like at the time. With that said, before we tune out for the evening, I do want to make mention of my book. My book is now out in the wild. Order your copy of the Fangirl Diaries. This is a book written by me, and this is all about this time period of anime fandom. This is about the millennial cringe experience, what it was like to be a youth, what was it like being one of those teens that really blew up the anime convention scene. So if you're interested in learning more about this history, take a look at my book, purchase link in the description of this video, and I hope you get to enjoy it. And remember, if I'm at an anime convention, I am more than happy to sign a copy of the Fangirl Diaries. Yeah, check me out. And with that said, thank you so much for tuning in to another edition of Fansview Fridays. I am the Wisteria Witch, and we will see you very soon at the cottage again. Next week, it sounds like we might be doing SakuraCon 2001, because we will be heading to SakuraCon in the near future. So hopefully we can get some of that going on. All right. All right, let's go ahead and let's see if we can read a channel.